Hello, how there? My name is Laolu Akonde, and you are on to Inside Sources. Welcome back to Inside Sources. Today I'm skipping my take because I want to have a full discussion about what has happened with the coalition, with the formation of the new platform. That's the African Democratic Congress, where it seems all of the major opposition gladiators have aligned. To join me in that important conversation today, I have our contributors, Malam Baba Yusuf, strategist, policy advisor, public intellectual, and the group CEO of GITC. Malam, welcome back to Inside Sources.
Thank you, Prof. It's good to be here again, as always.
Thank you. And also we have to his right, a leading newspaper columnist and leading TV political analyst, Mr. Dairu Majid. Well, Majid, good to see you again.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Right, let's start with Majid. So, this past week, we've seen what a lot of people had, quote unquote, fantasized about. That is it possible for all these opposition figures to come together in one place? Now, they have announced that ADC is that place, and all of them were there this week. What is the implication of this, in your view, for 2027? Let's start that way.
I think it's a very important and positive development in the polity. I say this because before now, with the gradual demise of the former ruling party and supposedly the largest opposition party in Nigeria, the PDP, and the confusion in the Labour Party, which was supposed to be the third force party, there was this widespread apprehension that Nigeria was gradually sliding into a one-party state as we approach 2027. But with this coming together of gladiators from all flanks of the political divide into the ADC, successfully consolidating into that party, I think it signals a halt to that perceived slide to one-party state, at least for whatever it is worth. We now have a clear division within the ranks of the establishment into two parts, and they are beginning to dig in on each other. So that provides some level of vibrancy and somewhat a facade of alternative for the people, for the Nigerian people to now choose from, as it's supposed to be the case in a liberal democracy, liberal multi-party democracy.
Right.
So, but going forward, it will now depend on those who have decided to oppose the ruling party.
Okay.
It depends on a lot of factors now, whether beyond the initial euphoria of coming together, because coming together was quite important. It looked almost impossible that this will come together.
Yeah.
These are arch enemies, rivals, strange bedfellows.
Yes.
But they were able to come together at least. The optics were quite good. But going forward, it depends on a number of factors, whether or not they're able to sustain their captivation of public imagination, and whether they can be trusted as an alternative to the ruling party. So that will depend on a lot of factors going forward. So as it stands today, the fact that there's an emergence of what looks like an alternative political party is good for the polity, for whatever it is worth.
Okay, good. Malam, your take.
Yeah, it's a welcome development. I share the sentiments and concern validly, so that a couple of months ago, there was no really seemingly effective or credible opposition that will be able to, first of all, get the attention of the ruling party, All Progressive Congress,
Right.
and then give it a run, build up to 2027, which means make it to deliver good governance. Because the good thing about opposition party that is effective and efficient is it puts the ruling party in check one and ensures that it delivers, because the whole idea is let us deliver so that the opposition will not take over.
Yeah.
The dramatis personae that have come to coalesce to form the ADC, brilliant minds, highly respected Nigerians, I must say. Now, the next variable or the next parameter is my concern.
Which is
Credibility of some of them in terms of their capacity to deliver if given the opportunity, having woefully failed, not just long ago, including members of the cabinet of President Muhammadu Buhari, and even those that were part of President Jonathan are coming to tell us less than 10 years later that they have something fresh to offer. Now, that credibility, to my mind, especially given the fact that they just recently, in a manner of speaking, day before yesterday, we are busy going around the country and telling us that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is the Messiah for Nigeria, as his campaign arrowheads, as his regional commanders to get the votes. And then less than 2 years later, they are telling us that is actually absolutely the wrong person to lead Nigeria. Now, this mannerism or character of talking from two sides of the mouth speaks in volume about the self-serving nature of these people that are now coalescing.
Right.
Beyond that also, we would like to see in the next 2 to 3 months, because at the surface, I like it. The movement is looking good. The hype is good. But how will they be able to maintain that momentum? First of all, to now deal with the structural issues of the party. Deal, first of all, with the ideology, if any. In this context, we know politics in Nigeria is not ideologically driven, but to have what I call alignment of vision.
Okay.
An alignment of objectives, for this contending with conflicting objectives.
Right.
Secondly, to have a structure that will be formed to even be able to stand its own, because you can see a lot of them are still not sure-footed. One leg in PDP, one leg in ADC, one leg in LP, whether LP or not LP, etc. So we want to see that. Having said that, we will hope that they would have learned their lesson from what I call the classroom of 2023 politics with regards to the emergence of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, to ensure that they are able to put that effective opposition, and how they are able to convince Nigerians that they are the veritable alternative, because I see a lot of movement at their level. But because of the division in PDP and LP, and even when you talk to people at the constituencies, people are not moving down the radar. I can tell you that.
Okay, very, very interesting opening. So let's dig a little bit deeper, and let's start like this. So if we look at the people that we have taking the front row, so you have Atiku Abubakar, you have Peter Obi, you have Amaechi, you have David Mark, you have El Rufai, even Chivo Yegun was there, So it's quite a mixture of the people that were in APC and a lot of the PDP chieftains in that sense. I mean, Atiku and David Mark, for example. But my own concern is that what is going to be the rallying point of this engagement beyond the need to unseat the president, the incumbent president, and understand. Well, I mean, we haven't had, if you look at what happened in 2015, everybody was saying, they were saying change, and there were particular issues that was attached to it. Now, I don't know, maybe there's still time, but this seems to be more like saying that, look, let's just get this guy out of. What is it that is the content that can drive Nigeria? I mean, to the point that both of you raised, the issue of credibility. Why will Nigeria think that these people, or how could Nigeria think that these people have something new to offer?
It's not up to those who are congregating in the coalition that is now the ADC to come up with some of the issues they've raised. I say this because Nigeria is a 26-year-old democracy. This is not 2014 and 15, when our democracy was still at teenage stage, where people were not as discerning as they are today. So the questions you're asking now, people didn't ask these questions then. It was about PDP was bad. Jonathan was the signpost of corruption.
Yeah.
So if you bring a Buhari who is a ramrod straight and an anti-corruption apostle, highly disciplined, a former military officer, so you'll be able to combat both the problem of corruption and insecurity. So as basic as that.
Yeah.
And people saw it as, PDP is bad, APC is good. But after 8 years, we saw that, okay, not so much of between PDP and APC. Is there any much difference? And so, in fact, the APC appears to have been worse than even the PDP. And today are now asking more discerning questions, the kind of questions you're asking. For me, I'm not under any illusion that the angels will drop from heaven to salvage our democracy or the country.
Me too.
It will still be Nigerians.
Yeah.
So I do not want to even hold any of the people on this other side to their past particularly. Not that their past is anything that is glorious. But let us assume that, for instance, maybe we are at a point where, like many other countries that have surmounted some of these challenges, we are, even those that are beneficiaries of the bad system, may have come to a point of realization that it's no longer sustainable, and that in their own self-enlightened interest, I'm hoping that this is the case, that in their own self-enlightened interest, they feel they don't want to leave Nigeria worse than they have made it. And so have taken the conscious decision to commit class suicide. I hope that this will be the philosophy behind this movement. I hope. Again, it's up to them to prove to the Nigerians, because Nigerians are not ready. One thing is for sure.
Yeah.
Beyond this initial euphoria of, I would not have something that looks like
opposition.
an opposition, Nigerians are not ready to be used as ping pong in the game of power play between two factions of the ruling elite. I don't think Nigerians are. We've learned our lessons. So we want to see that philosophical commitment first, to say we are part of this rotten system, but we on this side have decided that the time has come for us to undergo like a rebirth. And so we are ready to commit class suicide going forward. This commitment must be firmly entrenched. And one way to prove this is the internal processes of this ADC going forward. How democratic is it going to be? How demonetized is it going to be? How detribalized is it going to be? How sanitized with the internal processes within the ADC? How is the structure going to be going forward? Because it is key to leadership recruitment in the democracy.
Right.
If we are still doing some of the same old ways, it means you're not. It means you just want to grab power to have an opportunity to do that which you accuse the Bola Tinubu administration of doing. So again, it is up to them to do this. Ours is to set an agenda for all of the players in the politics, because we want an improved democracy. Thirdly, and most importantly, people complain of hunger in Nigeria, insecurity, general economic problems, and as Nigerians, we are feeling it. And I've always said it, that two policies of the present government, two policies, appear to be at the root cause of the current economic challenge. Subsidy removal on petrol and the devaluation of the currency through flotation.
Right.
Even though the government tries to say that they wanted to eradicate multiple exchanges. I said, no, you can eradicate multiple exchanges without floating the currency. So, but the flotation, you've seen the combined effect of flotation of the naira, which led to devaluation, and the ball of petroleum, of subsidy on petrol, which led to high cost of energy for production in Nigeria. Now, the president has an abiding faith in this policy.
Right.
Again, this policy was a national consensus on the eve of 2023 election.
Yeah, clearly.
And that was why all of them on this side and on both sides actually committed to doing the same. Now, 2 years is enough to appraise a policy to now realize, is this policy, was it actually right in the first place? And we need to take a detour. Now, if the current administration has refused, as it's supposed to be the case normally, when you are on an experiment and it's not actually going the right way, the outcomes are not actually being met, you have every need to make certain adjustments. They've not been able to do so. They are still doubling down on it and promising improvement, maybe when we are all gone to the great beyond. I would expect that this opposition now, in these 2 years, should have been taking stock of these two policies. And by now, in the next few weeks, should come up with an alternative that is a clear-cut one to what this man has done. I say this because if you are not going to be as frontal as that and make the commitment in the opposite direction, again, why would I want to ditch a vehicle that is going to the same direction just to enter your own vehicle if there's no change of direction? It would not make sense, really.
Yeah.
And that will play to the hands of the ruling party, because there will be apathy on the part of Nigeria to say, well, you are not telling us anything new.
Right.
So why will I now go and file out under the sun, under the rain, to vote for you just to come in and continue what this other person is doing? So that might be the albatross. But so I think that they should sit down, put on their thinking cap, and be ready. Nigeria is a 26-year-old democracy, an adult democracy.
At least this Fourth Republic is.
An adult democracy. So you must be sure of what you want to do. So the Nigerian people appear to have given them some benefit of doubt now, because the presence of a man like Peter Obi in the mix appears to have also brought that, that massive followership. And if you watch the trends, it looks like they have some level of, in spite of the characters that ordinarily would have been uninspiring, there appears to be some level of public support for the opposition. Now, for that public support to be sustained, expanded, and if possible, enlarged, we'll be to do the things we've talked about that my dear brother here raised in his opening remarks. So it's now up to them to do the needful. It is a democracy,
Right.
and there is an opportunity when you have such problems in the democracy, problems of underperformance. It creates an opportunity for the opposition to thrive, because you can now leverage on that, come up with an alternative, and get the people's buy-in. And once you have people power on your side, it can defy all forms of electoral subterfuge by an incumbent government.
If you have the people on your side.
Yes.
Okay, very, very important. I want us to move it along, to the question of the flag bearer, and I want to start with you, Malam. So, if you look at, the inside tracking of what is happening in ADC, there is Peter Obi, clearly, who made a very great performance, and then there's Atiku Abubakar. So one south, one north. But now there's also Amaechi, who is clearly also very interested. Now, we don't know whether there will be other people, but those are the three, big players for presidency in 2027 using this platform. Now, the question I want to ask you, Malam, just to kick off that aspect of the discussion is, do you think Atiku Abubakar should be running in this election, or do you think that this platform is going to be more formidable if it were to say that, look, we want some kind of, and I use this very broadly, some kind of new breed, Madam?
My position with regards to, first of all, where the presidency should remain for the next, till 2031 has been very clear in the public domain, in writing, in public engagements. The power should remain in the South. And why so? Because we want to, in action, in disposition, in character, promote this quote-unquote unity, equity, and justice.
Yeah.
And start moving our country in the right direction.
Right.
And not this self-deception of playing with the intelligence of people that is further polarizing this country along ethnic divisions, tribal divisions, and even religious divisions. And to that extent, your guess for my answer is as good as everybody's, that I don't believe, with due respect to His Excellency Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, he should contest 2027 election in the interest of fairness, equity, and justice, as an elder statesman who is one of the forebearers and one of the key people in this Fourth Republic and indeed in the democratic evolution of Nigeria.
Right.
Having said that, he has the right as a Nigerian under the Constitution to contest.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if we are looking at it and we are adding value to the conversation as critical stakeholders in Nigeria, if ADC wants to win election in 2027, in my own humble opinion, one of the key things to deal with in the next 4 weeks or 5 weeks is to give clear direction with regards to that position, to say presidency is going that way.
Yeah.
Secondly, to also demonstrate, like what Mr. Moji said, that they are born again. If it is possible.
Right.
If it is possible, which is going to be very difficult, because culture is a very difficult thing to do. The depth of the sense of entitlement of the elites in this country is so endemic, deep, and sickening.
Yeah.
It has become generational. And like I said to you in my last, appearance here, the advice from my father, which is happening, that the next generation should be preparing. Otherwise, the ruling class or the ruling elites, these guys that are doing this, will do what I have written 20 years ago with the blessings of my father. There's a document I share with you. I call it perpetuation of aristocracy in Nigeria. The children of the political class, I imagine, in National Assembly, in the executive, even in the judiciary. So if that is what is going to pan out, then you are going to, now I will borrow from Mr. Mojid, the class suicide. The class suicide may happen, but not deliberately. It may now be happening from the point of view of falling on their sword due to desperation and blinded by greed. Now they will start fighting. Now, moving on to that, whether it is Atiku, at least Atiku Abubakar, His Excellency, Waziri Adama, or that contest, or Peter Obi, Excellency, or Amaechi, I will not expecting in the next 6 months for them to start providing solutions. Each and every one of them was a presidential candidate or presidential aspirant. And clearly we heard them saying they had a blueprint. Where is the blueprint? Demonstrate to us that as at 2023, you had the solution to Nigerian problem.
Because of our time, we have just less than 5 minutes to go. I want us to also talk about something that, spun out of the announcement of the opposition ADC, the spat between Nyesom Wike and his former boss, Rotimi Amaechi. Now, and this is the angle that I want to make a comment, and then, you guys also make a comment, and then we close it. I think that the interview or the exchange between the both of them has the potential to put the president on the spot, especially now that Minister Wike has said that this is what Amaechi's wife got, and there is a forensic report that made the indication, and the president, in the interest of national public interest, should release that report. Now, if the president fails to release the report, what does that mean? Because Mr. Wike was very, very passionate about this thing, and against the background of the fact that we know, all of us know in this country, that corruption is a big elephant in the room. It's something that we all know. And there you have a minister of the Federal Republic, saying publicly that the president should, in the interest of national public interest, release a report that he says implicated, it will seem, Amaechi. If the president fails to do that, what does it mean? Let's take it from Mojid, and then Malam, and then we'll close. Very, very, very briefly.
When a minister speaks, of course, you have worked at the highest level of government in Nigeria. I know that ministers exercise authority on behalf of the president. Sometimes I also presume that when a minister speaks in a public forum, it could also be speaking under the mind or on behalf of the president.
Yes, I agree with you.
Yeah.
So maybe this is just a case of the voice of
Jacob and the
hands of Esau. So it's intriguing, it's interesting, because, of course, Amaechi was posturing as somebody who was above board and free from corruption, while accusing Mr. Wike and, of course, the current government of the opposite. So I think if they have anything on him, it will be politically right, constitutionally right also, to throw it up at this time. He's part of the politicking. So let's see how it pans out in the coming days.
Interesting. Malam.
I agree with Mr. Mojid, and that is why, I agree with the saying that says that those that live in the glass house shouldn't throw stones. Amaechi started, of course, trying to politically, drive that narrative that they are the alternative, inadvertently or deliberately. Now, this is what he has. He has fired the first shot. He cannot stop. If you use a pistol to start a fight, there is no fault for the guy coming out with an Uzi, right? So now, the only thing is that I want to see in the next couple of weeks, we were having conversation with Mr. Mojid before we come on camera, putting Mr. President on the spot at this point in time, will it be a strategically right move for them, or will it also be showing the hand of the ruling party in a way and manner that may affect them in the short to mid-term? Because also, the same proverb, those that live in glass houses shouldn't throw stones. These people are like the same actors in different costumes.
Madam Baba Yusuf and Dairu Majid, thank you for your contributions, and thank you for coming to Inside Sources.
Thank you. Anytime, bro. Right. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.